What's up, guys? My name's Balin. I'm Josh Cartwright's mechanic for Team PRMX. A lot of media companies do bike breakdowns on the factory bikes, and while that shit's badass, you can't buy a lot of it, and a lot of it doesn't even really apply to the average rider, or it's something the average rider wouldn't even need. So I figured I'd give you guys a look at our setup, give you some ideas of what a pretty advanced racer would need, or even someone that just wants a badass bike. We are a privateer program, so if there's nothing on the bike that doesn't need to be there, we don't buy it because we're trying to save money. But if it needs to be on the bike, we'll put it on the bike. That's my point. So up front, we run a set of Moto Star wheels. If you buy a set of Moto Stars, these are the exact set you are going to get. We don't run a special spoke setup, hub setup, hoop setup, anything like that. So if you buy a set of Moto Stars, these are what you're going to get. And they've been badass all year. We've had one wheel issue the entire year, and it was just a wheel just went whoop. It had a little whoop in it. That's it. So for 6 riders, racing 18 rounds, I don't even know how many rounds that would be collectively, but a lot of goddamn races on Supercross. And Supercross was really gnarly, so if it's good enough for Supercross, it's good enough for you. He's also taking great care of us throughout the whole year. If we do have any wheel problems, or if a wheel does go out of true, he just says cut the spokes off, and we send him back the hub, and we get brand new wheels. So really badass. We run Pirellis front and rear. Nick over at Pirelli takes really good care of us. We're at the final round of Supercross right now, so we are running a mid-hard rear, mid-hard front. Nick's usually a pretty good base of what to go off, but if the rider wants something in particular, like Cade's running a spec tire, Cade Clayson will run a spec tire. But if a rider wants mid-hard front, soft, or mid-hard rear, soft front, vice versa, whatever they want, if they really want to run it, he's more than happy to let him run it. But he will always give us our opinion, or his opinion, which is greatly appreciated because he knows what the hell he's talking about. It's not his first rodeo. So, and they're really great to us. They come over, check out our knobs, make sure they're in good condition, make sure they talk to the riders throughout the day, ask what they're feeling. Really cool. Pirelli is awesome to us. So, and then we run a Devol holeshot device. Works great. Not much to say about it. If a holeshot device works, then that's good. If not, then it's not good. Not much to say about a holeshot device, but it's pretty sick. It's nice looking, little black anodized piece. It's really good looking, and it works. So, we run MX-TECK suspension. Jeremy over there takes really good care of us. We run Kashima outers. They actually re-DLC the lower tubes. So, as some of you may know, the stock KX450s actually come with DLC lowers. But Jeremy doesn't like the quality of DLC on them, so he actually sends them out and gets them re-DLC'd with a higher quality DLC, which is diamond like carbon special coating. And so right now we are running the Blackjack cartridge system, but they actually have a lot of new stuff in the works. Can't really talk about it, but they've got some big shit coming out, so keep an eye out for them. But tons of adjustability. I can't even remember. There's like 50 or 60 clicks on the suspension. So gnarly adjustability. Super sick setup. Jeremy's been great to us all year. If he's at almost every single round, and if he's not at the round, he'll overnight ship the guys new set of forks, whether it's they want a little stiffer in the bottom, or they're getting bucked, or whatever. He'll talk with them, figure out what they need, and send them out a new set of suspension overnight. Really cool that he does that. Takes great care of us. And if he is at the race, like I said, talks with the riders the whole day, asks what they need, is really concerned with their opinions, and he does a fantastic job. Can't recommend MX-TECK enough. We run LUXON clamps, made in the USA, lightest clamps on the market. Really cool looking pieces too. We run a 21.5 mil offset. And yeah, riders really like it, so it's great for Supercross. It's a little more aggressive for the tight turns and stuff. We do run ODI bars and grips up front, or up top. Just regular, Josh runs half waffles. Just regular half waffles. He does like a broken in grip. So seeing all the beat up grips drives me nuts, but that's the feel that Josh prefers, so that's what we run. We run ASV levers. Josh likes the gloss levers. Cade likes the textured levers. And I think everybody else on the team likes the textured levers too. I think Surratt also likes the smooth levers. But yeah, these blackjack cartridges look really cool too. Lots of little anodized pieces and laser engravings and really cool setup. We run a firepower thermostat cap, or thermometer cap, I should say. Really cool setup, just lets us know where it's at. A little higher pressure too, 1.8 instead of the 1.1 that's stock, just in case the bike gets hot. But we haven't really had a motor this year, so we've been really lucky that we haven't really had to make sure that cap works or not. Renegade SX4 Pro, smells great, runs great. I can't remember the oxygen content, but it's like 94 octane, I think like 3.4% oxygen. Of course, it has to be unleaded for AMA. So yeah, great fuel, smells good. That's the most important part, right? In the motor, we actually have Williams. Williams Motorwerx actually takes care of our motors. On the 250s, they actually grind their own cams for the 250s. Really cool. Things bark. On the 450, we keep it pretty simple. We just run a basic port job, and we run a Wossner piston. That's the only thing that you can't buy on this bike is the Wossner piston. They take really great care of us. It's a special cut, and it's fully DLC'd. So it's just a billet piston, fully CNC, like I said, CNC, full DLC, wrist pin, everything. But stock bottom end of these, like I said, we just do a light port job. These 450s are so gnarly that you don't need that much. So we just kind of clean up the ports a little bit, stock valve train. I think we do run heavy duty springs though. We are running heavy duty valve springs. HGS exhaust. This is the full titanium carbon setup. Ridiculously light. I really like their setup too with the springs. So when the pipe does expand and contract and flex and move, it can do what it needs to without breaking itself. We haven't had any problems. If you guys know anything about these Cowies, there's a lot of problems with them breaking the subframes, but we haven't had any problems with that this year, which is great news because a lot of exhausts break off these subframes. So for HGS with their spring setup to not be breaking off subframes, it's kind of a big deal. So, oh yeah, I guess I should touch on this too. Stock master cylinders. Josh likes a really soft brake lever. Drives me nuts, but that's what he wants, so that's what he gets. A little ASV. These are I can't remember what they're actually called, but they're the, so basically if the bike falls and the lever gets tweaked, he can just smack it with his hand. Basically, it keeps it tight, but loose enough that it'll move really easy. I don't know how to explain it, but really cool setup. We do just run the one start device, or start button. Thought about putting an extra one on there, but we haven't had a problem with it this year, so until it becomes a problem, then we'll look into it, but I don't think we'll ever have a problem with it. We run, unfortunately, we do have stock clutch cover because COVID 2020, or COVID 2021, I should say, everything's back ordered. But we do run a Rekluse Torqpack, so stock hub, stock pressure plates, everything like that. But with the Rekluse Torqpack, just the extra plates, that one that's like $350 or something like that, dialed. Kate Clayson actually runs a stock clutch. In the 2020s, he actually run the Rekluse Torqpack. But in the 2021s, with the different with the bevel spring setup, Cade actually prefers stock clutch, which is pretty sick that a stock clutch is good enough for a Supercross racer. So if you don't want to change it, I wouldn't change it, to be honest. But Rekluse does help us out with the clutches. We do run a Bud water cooler and the RECMX oil filter cover just to keep the bikes a little bit cooler. Help with longevity, and like I said, these guys rip the shit out of the bikes, and these things get hot. It's gnarly. So whatever we can do to help keep them cool, We run firepower oil, fully synthetic, 1040. What else? Oh yeah, the INNTECK shock. It's the national shock, so there is no stock components in this at all. It's its fully owned setup. Has crazy adjustability, high speed, mid speed, and low speed compression, and then high speed and low speed rebound. I don't even know how those guys feel that, but they're professional for a reason. And like I said, they can talk with Jeremy and figure out what they want, what they need, spring rate wise, valving wise, oil weight wise, all that kind of stuff. Blood actually makes a specific oil for Jeremy, for us, which is really sick. What else? We run the Devol link, the adjustable link. It's actually full billet, so it gives a bike a different feel rather than the cast piece that comes on the stock bikes, and it's fully adjustable too. So if you see these little numbers down here, so you can adjust it and actually get the bike to squat more out of corners, and it just changes the geometry of the linkage. Pretty badass setup, change it on the fly. So it's like you have a lowering link, stock link. So one is stock. For a while at Arlington, we were running 2, but at Atlanta, we actually switched back to 1 because it was more high speed. Josh wanted the bike a little taller, so that's what we went with. Can't remember if I talked to pipe already. Oh yeah, I did talk about the pipe already. Motostar wheels out back, and like I said, we do run different brake rotors. INNTECK is not a sponsor, but we just wanted a thicker brake rotor, better feel, better braking, so that's what got us there. Good price, really cool looking product too. I like the front brake rotor a lot. Really cool looking piece. We do have Cerakoted stuff from Works Wheel Mods. They Cerakote the front brake rotors, the ignition covers, starter covers, stuff like that. The inner clutch cover too. So pretty sick. What else? So yeah, we just kind of clean up the bike. Kind of polish some stuff out, you know, get it to look all fancy schmancy. But we run stock engine mounts. Cade actually runs, I can't remember if he's Works Chassis Lab or factory chassis parts, but Cade does run a set of titanium engine mounts. But nobody else does on the team. Twin air filters, we run a cageless, a backfire screen less cage. So you're just a cage without the screen in it. Firepower chain. They really hooked us up this year. Tons of chains and oil and more than we'd ever need. But really good on them for hooking us up. Really appreciate that. Darken products. Sprockets, front sprocket and rear sprocket. 52-13. Pretty aggressive, but I mean it's Supercross, so these guys need some bark out of the corners. Bud Racing foot pegs as well. Just depending on the rider, we will run Bud or Raptor. That Raptor titanium foot pegs. But it just depends on what the rider prefers. Other than that, we do have different mapping. Williams takes care of that for us. But we just use the stock Cowie ECU. Clayson actually runs the Get. I'm not sure why. I've never asked him about that. I really should ask him about that. Sorry, I should have prepared better. But I'm not sure why he runs the Get. I think it runs up for the Start program. Because they do have a setup where you can speed up or slow down the bike for the Start. I'm pretty sure that's why he runs it. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Pretty basic setup, but not at the same time. But it's good enough to make 450 mains and top 10 in the 250s. So, I mean, I don't know what else you really need. Yeah, like, and it's not a super expensive setup either. Like I said, all this stuff is within reason. I think the National Shock is like $2,000 or so, which is a lot. But if you're a pro level rider, like, that's not bad. I'm not exactly sure how much the Blackjack closed cartridge setup is, but I know it's not that expensive because you keep the tubes. The tubes keep the cost down a lot, but like I said, MX Tech is working on some top secret stuff that's coming out soon, so pretty sick. SKF seals on the forks as well. Other than that, that's our bike. SSI takes care of our decals, Acerbis for the plastics. Yeah, but that's the bike. I'll give you some little beauty shots. This thing's sick. Woo-wee! Yeah, it's been an awesome year. Great year for us. I think it's the best the team's ever done. So really glad that we could be a part of that. Anyway, thought I'd give you guys a look at a pretty sick bike setup.